Hi, it's Nell, and today I am going to be dividing and planting a Foxtail Fern. So stick around and see how I do it. So we are underneath my pink grapefruit tree. It is a very bright shade under here, but there were two plumbagos growing and it just wasn't enough sun for them. They were really scrawny, skinny. You know, I don't think they would have ever flowered. And I thought, you know how I love me my Foxtail Ferns. So I got this one, and this 1 5-gallon was much bigger than two 1-gallons. So I decided, why not get the 5-gallon and divide it? Now, I've already done a blog post about the care of Foxtail Fern. I will leave that link down below. So if you are interested in the care of this fine plant, you can find out about that. But one of the things to know is, even though it's called Foxtail Fern, it's not really a fern. It's in the asparagus family. It's very hardy. It has a really tough root, so I'm going to divide it just by cutting it in half with a shovel, which is something you might not be able to do with a much more delicate fern. And I already have the 2 holes dug. I dug them about 2 weeks ago. This hole was really easy to dig. This hole was this hole took a lot longer to dig, so it has more soil conditioner in it to help break up the soil. And I've soaked the holes, and it rained one time, but I'm going to give it a really good watering when I plant it too. Okay, so what I did is I just went all the way around, giving it some really good stomps, and you can see now why this plant is so tough. It grows by this tuberous root system, and that's how the plant spreads also. So it's a pretty heavy beast too, because these tubers store water in them too. That's why this this plant, I don't want to actually call it a fern, because it's not a true fern, it's just called fern. That's why it can go a little bit dry. Okay, I'm going to see if I can just do it with the shovel. I don't think I'm going to be able to do this one because it's so tough. I think I am going to go and get my pruning saw, and I'm going to do it that way. Just going to do some cuts all the way around, and then see if I can get it in that way into. Because when you're dividing a plant, you're never quite sure how it's actually going to go, especially when you're doing it on camera. Okay, so I got it almost all done, and it looks like I lost a lot of it, but I just lost more soil than anything else, and a few of the fronds there. I had to cut out a lot of dead out of this plant too, but you know, it's a great time to do it because it's mid-January, so it can really settle in, and then in spring it'll really take off and get going, because these plants, the one I had in Santa Barbara was at least 3 to 4 feet wide. It was just gorgeous. And here's one plant, and here is the other plant. Okay, there we go. I kept most of the root system intact. Surprisingly, this thing I had to saw through it. It looked cruel, but this is a tough plant, and I'm going to plant it with love. I have some local compost, and I have some more of that soil conditioner in there, so I'm just going to go ahead and give a nice, generous dose around the side here, because I don't think anything has had any compost in this garden in a while. I just moved into this home about 7 months ago, just in case you haven't been following me. It's a new home in a new garden. So and this plant, as I said, is not fussy, it's not delicate, but I just wanted to make sure that it has a really good start whole life. I did the hole was twice as wide as the root ball. I wanted to make sure it just has plenty of room to grow. And I'm here in the Arizona desert, where in the winter we tend to get rain about every 3 weeks, a little bit of it. So I'm not going to rely on that. It's supposed to shower in a couple days, but just possibility of showers. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a good drink. And because this hole was draining a lot slower, it's probably going to take a while for this to drink up all the water. But anything that you plant or you transplant, you want to give it a really good drink. Unless, of course, you're going to get a big old rainstorm, the next day. But you want to make sure that everything is has soil amendment, whatever type of soil amendment or building up it needs. And you also want to make sure that what you're planting has a good drink too. I am happy about that. It just completely drank that whole, was this 2 gallons? Yeah, whole 2-gallon bucket of water, which means that the soil is draining really well in this hole. That's good. And now a little more soil conditioner. Because I will probably compost it once in the spring, but that's all that this plant, that's all that this plant is going to get. All right, now for the other fern, the other a foxtail. Here we go, right into there. This one is just about right. I'm just going to put a little layer in there. And this is the soil that I took out of the hole. It's not a conditioner. I just put it in here. So just a little bit on top of the soil conditioner here. Okay, so I'm going to give this one a good drink of water. And I'm going to give the other ones some more water too. And then I'm going to let them settle in overnight. It is not hot by any means. I think it was like 70 degrees today. It's January. And it's going to be cool, so no danger of them being a bit exposed. So fast forward to the next day, and here we are. I gave both of them a whole bunch of water this morning. And now I'm going to wrap this planting project up with a sprinkling of worm castings around the top here. You don't need too much. It's really, really strong. So I'm just going to go all the way around. All nice and topped off with that. And now another mixing of the soil conditioner and the tank's compost. A nice rich compost, just so there's a top layer all the way around. Off to a good start, my foxtail friend. It is now mid-May, and as you can see, the foxtail ferns, even though they were divided, have settled in beautifully. And the one on the left was always a little bit smaller, but it's getting there. It's doing just fine, and both of them flowered and both of them berried. Or they produced berries. And I look forward to seeing them in about a year when they'll probably be twice as big. But they seem to be very happy in this spot underneath the pink grapefruit tree. So I hope you have found this video about dividing and planting a foxtail fern, turning one foxtail fern into 2 ferns, to be helpful. And let's get out in the garden and make the world a more beautiful place. I thank you for all your likes and your subscribes and your comments. I really appreciate them, and come on back because I have a lot more videos coming your way. As always, I thank you so much for watching. Bye.